This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Bennett, we go until midnight tonight, if we live that long. Okay, hello to everybody. It's Tuesday. It is the beginning of our week. We go until Fridays, as you know, unless I decide I'm getting too tired of doing this. I'm just so exhausted all the time, but I always say I'm so tired, and then I start doing the show, and I guess it's okay. Anyway, I think it's time for us to talk to somebody that we have on here just about once a week, actually, on Tuesdays. It's Tuesdays, therefore it must be Phil Meyer. Wait a minute, we're waiting for his picture to come through. Are you there, Phil? Yeah, there we go. And he's over at Tony's place, huh?
Yeah, you know, Tony said the rent is free, you know.
Yeah. Kind of like me. You want to live like me, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. If you can do it, I can do it.
Until these guys come and want all their back rent, in which case I'm going to have to get the hell out of here. But, you know, it's been nice. You know.
Well, if they want their back rent, they're going to have to get it from the guy that rented you the place.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, we have no lease with him. I don't want to get into it. Let me not even get into it.
I understand.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Yesterday was the day that you were supposed to hear from your friends at the Hall of Fame.
They're not my friends, by the way. Only one of them is a friend, and one is an ex-employer. Yes, but
any word?
No. Yesterday was the day they were supposed to announce who were going to be the inductees into the Hall of Fame, right. And they said the 26th of August. The 16th of August, and I checked it out, and I looked all day, and they never posted anything. And then the next day, today, nothing posted either.
Make a call to Walter?
No, I don't want to, because he's one of the people voting, and I don't want to do that. That would be wrong.
This is after the fact.
Well, this is after the fact, but they haven't gotten around to doing it, which I think is skeezy, if you want my opinion. Because, I mean, a lot of people are waiting who are involved in this whole thing, but I've decided that I don't care whether I get it or not. And I'm thinking probably, here's the reason I think that, what's her name, Sally Jesse Raphael will get it, is because most of the people who are on the nominating committee are not people who would be aware of me, okay? Because I was never syndicated. I was always a local personality.
Yeah, except the serious thing, which I had never heard you.
Yeah, but if you went and looked at all the stuff that that I've done, you would say, okay, I should be a shoo-in, but I'm not, because Sally is known to these people, and so they go, oh, Sally Jesse Raphael, sure, you know. Who's Alex Bennett? Oh, I've heard of him. I heard he did something somewhere, so, you know.
You were known to New York, the 60s, youth gurus. I don't, radio isn't a
but you see, these people, who know, you realize how long ago that was that I was here on the air here in New York?
We're
talking about 1969 I came here. How many years ago was that?
It was a while ago.
It was a while ago. And some of these people weren't even born when I was working in New York City, so they don't have a sense of history of me.
Anybody over 50 has a really hard time getting a job in radio.
Yeah. But I think there's a guy from the Bay Area who's one of the nominating committee, and he might vote for me. And my old boss at Sirius, he's one of them, so he might vote for me. And Walter Sabo is one of the nominating committee, so hopefully he would vote for me. Although I believe he was Sally Jesse Raphael's boss when she was at NBC Radio, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure of that. So I mean, so okay, so I've got 3 votes maybe. I mean, but here's the thing. Let me tell you about something. I have several people in my career who have been an influence on me. One of which was Don Sherwood in San Francisco.
Dead.
Well, he's dead, but when he was alive, he literally, I would say, had a 70% share in the morning. I mean,
Well,
you could walk down the street
Yeah.
while he was on the air, and coming out of windows, you would hear Don Sherwood. You didn't even have to have a portable radio.
I didn't grow up in San Francisco, but I moved here when I was like 19. And I think Don Sherwood was still around because he was making commercials and pitching stuff. He was
No, that was that was another Don Sherwood. That was
Oh.
Don Sherwood Sporting Goods.
No,
Yes,
no.
really, I'm serious. There was a Don Sherwood sporting guy. He did a lot of ads on TV. That was not the Don Sherwood.
Okay, well, so I came here December 31st, 1973, New Year's Eve. And that's when I hit San Francisco. And,
Well, Don Sherwood was so big that like he did a thing where he had a foot race from Stinson Beach to the Ferry Building against Jim Lang, who was then also another guy at KSFO. And when they arrived at the Ferry Building, after all this build-up and everything, there's something like 50,000 people waiting for them. Okay? That's how big Sherwood was. Sherwood was so big that, I mean, if you went on opposite him in the morning, you knew you were going to lose. Okay? You just couldn't win. That's how big he was. And he was a hero of mine. And I listened to him and was influenced by him, and there's a lot of Sherwood in me. Okay? So that was one of my influences. The other one was one you would know of here in New York, Barry Gray, I worked with at WMCA, and I was kind of like a protege. He kind of gave me advice and it told me what I should do and not do. And in fact, I wound up doing his nightly program on Saturday nights when he didn't do one from his studio as kind of a replacement for Barry Gray's show. Barry Gray was probably one of the most popular talk show hosts ever in the history of New York City, and certainly the best interviewer I ever heard in my life. And when I heard him interview people, I learned everything about interviewing. Okay? These are 2 huge people in their markets. All right? Neither of them are in the Broadcast Radio Hall of Fame.
So maybe you're in good company.
Well, I say I'm in good company. Then I was looking up another one. There was a guy by the name in San Francisco, you wouldn't have ever heard of him, called Red Blanchard.
I never heard of him.
Red Blanchard, for a short period of time, was a massive sensation, especially among kids. A lot of kids listened to him. It was a teenage thing. And he produced records with a guy named Nervous Norvis, and he was terrific. And he really had a huge audience. He did it in front of a live studio audience at CBS, which still had one of those live studios that they used. And he was so big. Okay, this is how big Red Blanchard was.
How big was he?
Red Blanchard was so big that he's the only guy I remember in the radio business on the cover of Life magazine.
Wow.
Okay? And they did a whole article about him and everything. I mean, he was incredible. So, that was that. So he's not in the Hall of Fame either. Why? Again, a local guy in San Francisco. You got to remember, if you worked San Francisco, they didn't care about you. There are a few guys there. Jim Dunbar is in there, and what's his name? The other guy, Ron Owens. Who was highly overrated at best.
Issues
What?
or something?
What?
Ron Owens still alive? And if he is he having medical issues?
He has medical issues, yeah. I don't know if he's still alive or not. I think he's still alive. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Echo, is Ron Owens still alive?
Ron Roy is still alive.
The Ron Roy.
He's 81
She
years old.
didn't
Did that answer
understand
your
me.
question?
Ron Roy? Who the hell is Ron Roy? Oh, I just...
Now she'll tell you.
Yeah, she'll tell me. No. Echo, is Ron Owens still alive?
Ron Owens, the
Ron Roy
broadcaster.
is
Maybe you
still
have
No,
to.
it is.
He's 81 years old.
Echo, shut the fuck up. Anyway,
Before we get to the elephant in the room, I've got to tell you, I have been exercising. I joined a CrossFit style gym that is, very down and dirty. They don't even have showers. This place, you push stuff. You're like Sisyphus. You're pushing tons of weight down a driveway and then back, and you're dragging stuff. I've gained 6 pounds since I started doing this.
of course,
But
it's muscle.
my waist
Yeah.
got much. My pants are getting loose on me,
Mhm.
and it's amazing how strong I feel now that I'm doing this CrossFit style stuff.
Yeah, well, I took a walk today, finally. Did another 1.75 miles, I think it was. But
Yeah.
I was exhausted. I mean, today I was so tired, and I haven't been able to walk as often because it's been so hot.
It's been hot, but
Yeah.
at 5:30 in the morning, I
Yeah.
go to this class
Yeah.
a week, and they push you more and more to a total exhaustion, and then they say you can do more. And this is the best thing I've ever done physically. I feel fantastic. I can't tell you how much it's made a difference.
Wow.
And now, in the next week or so, they're going to start me on a nutrition program, and so
Well, you might be losing. You might lose some weight. I've gained some, so somebody's
well,
got to lose it somewhere. We can't throw the planet off kilter.
Yeah, really. But so that's been happening, and now let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Well, wait a minute. Let me just finish with what I was saying about this whole thing with the Hall of Fame. So I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know. I seriously doubt I'm going to win, but I find it almost disgusting that this is a contest.
Yeah.
I mean, Sally Jesse Raphael. I love Sally. Good performer, terrific, all of that. Who contributed more to changing broadcasting? You're looking at him.
Right.
And that should be, they should never have a contest like this. They should say, oh, who should we put in the Hall of Fame this year?
Be a vote just like they do with the NFL players and all of those other types of things, and the guy gets in or he doesn't get in, and it's
well, I mean, it should be like a nominating committee that sits around and says, okay, Alex Bennett, let's put him in the Hall of Fame. Sally Jesse Raphael too, she's good, she should be in it.
well,
But not a contest of who can get the most people to vote for them.
I voted for Larry Elder.
Really? Oh, did you really? No.
Hall of Fame, but to get rid of
Listen,
Gavin.
He's a skeezy sleaze bag.
Yeah, well,
It didn't matter. It didn't matter if you voted for Larry Elder or not. You just vote against Gavin Newsom and then put some name in there.
Well, yeah. Well, I voted, and he didn't get my vote for the Hall of Fame or my many votes for the Hall of Fame. But I decided, hey, maybe he seems to be the heir apparent for if something happens to Gavin Newsom. So I figured I'd go with it.
You know why he is the heir apparent? Only one reason.
People know his name.
He's got a radio program. I mean, it was the reason why Schwarzenegger won, because he was a recognized name. It's not that Larry Elder is a big talk show host. He's really a minor talk show host compared to the guys who are really in there. And in fact, he was let go, I think, by Fox at one time
Every go by.
But no, but he's a real asshole, and
Yes.
but I'll tell you, there's a guy. I got to tell you about this. There's a guy named Phil Valentine down in I think Florida or Georgia, somewhere down there. I can't remember now what state Phil Valentine is in. I could look it up here. But he's a talk show host, and he came out against vaccinations and against wearing masks.
Yeah.
And then he got COVID, and he's in the hospital fighting for his life. Okay?
Well-
And he's now saying, the family's now saying that he wants everybody to know that he believes now that everybody should get vaccinated and everybody should wear a mask. Well, thank you so much, asshole. How many people did you kill by telling them not to? You know, with your stupid radio program, okay? Huh?
Those guys. People don't listen to those guys. Hey, I noticed that on the plane today coming out of Kabul, nobody was social distancing. I wasn't able to those photos because for some reason I tried to pick it up off the web and I couldn't save it as a JPEG, so I couldn't use it as a background.
Yeah. Well, you know, what's happened we really don't know what's going to happen in Afghanistan. In that now this is just according to the Taliban. They have said that while they have the same religious feelings and philosophies that they did 20 years ago, they have evolved to where they now are more tolerant of other people and are willing to open their minds to the various things. So they've said that under them, women will be able to go to school and women will be able to hold down jobs.
This is the problem with that.
Yeah.
They have had these feelings for a long time, and because they're announcing this to the world doesn't mean that the people with the stones in their hands aren't going to push someone down to the ground and then start throwing stones at them because
all I'm saying is it may not it's certainly, we know these are not the people we want to see in power, but on the other hand, it may not be as bad or as dastardly as we think it's going to be.
But what do you think of Biden's actions in this?
I think that, for instance, he was only, Trump made the deal with the Taliban.
Yeah, but
okay, wait a minute. Trump dictated the date to pull out. Okay, and as the newly elected president of the United States, it was incumbent upon him to keep that thing in play.
Now, Trump also said the date was contingent on actions on the ground. And the actions on the ground was that this is the fighting season, and the leaders that created this takeover would have been in Pakistan in October. So if it would have been timed a little bit better, maybe.
But that wasn't the timing that Trump put on it.
No, but the timing could be changed depending on the actions on the ground.
The deal was already struck. It was already struck with the Taliban by Trump, by his Secretary of State, and we had to be out by May 1st.
Now, you're leaving a part out, which is the actions on the ground. But on the other hand,
no, we're not.
When has Biden upholded anything that wanted?
That Trump wanted?
Pipeline, Gitmo, the wall. There hasn't been one.
No, there was a deal struck. There was an executive order made. This is what they were going to do, and he had to complete it.
It was an executive order. Executive orders don't count when.
Okay, so you'd be griping if Biden had suddenly decided to not only keep the troops there, but to add another 10,000. You'd go crazy. You'd go nuts.
In many ways, I agree with what Biden did. I don't want us there any longer. But on the other hand, what would it have cost to leave 2,500 guys?
Look. He stated it best, I think, in saying it's up to the people of Afghanistan to get up to the plate and take the pitch.
They didn't do. The Taliban barely fired a shot.
By the way, your sound dumps every time I talk.
Yeah, I have to hook up my other machine. That means I have to call Obedia. I got to do it during working hours, and they have to program this.
Yeah. But anyway, I just thought I'd let you know.
Well, it's okay. I prefer that I'm not able to talk over anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, the point all the point is that look, I mean, this started with Bush, who I think came up with a bad idea there. It was
Obama.
It was then continued by Obama. I'm not going to say that it wasn't, and then dropped in the lap of then of course it was handed over to Trump, and then what Trump did was handed over to Biden. And I think Biden just said, I just want to be the last president who has to deal with this. We've been dealing with this for too long. We're not ahead of the game. It is now up to the people of Afghanistan. We've given them the weapons. We've given them the training. We've given them everything else. It's now their job to fight. And they're not.
11,000 Americans are trapped in Afghanistan right now. And for them to get out, if he would have kept control of the air base just until everybody was out, and then on the air base, you put the last guys in there, put them on planes from the air base, and take off.
Yeah, but he said, and rightly so, that they have the assurances now, they've been given it by the Taliban, that they will let the Americans leave and will not stop it or impinge upon it or do any movement to try and stop them. Secondly, somebody asked them the other day in an interview that I saw, what's going to happen if people want to leave Afghanistan? And their answer was, they're free to go. We don't want them here if they don't want to be here.
Free to go.
But they said that Afghanis who want to leave are free to go.
Well, I would like to see what's going to happen to all of the Afghanis that aided the Americans for the last 20 years. They know who they are, and I have a feeling that
the Taliban has stated that they would give amnesty to those people.
You believe the Taliban?
All I'm saying is this is what they say. As to whether it's going to happen that way, I can't guarantee, but this is what they've said. Okay, so.
All right. Well, hey, we got that subject talked about, and I'm sure that your panel will pick up the pace. I
guess so. Whatever panel there might be,
got some waiters,
huh?
Waiters, or
what do you say?
Got some people waiting in the wings.
I have one person waiting, and he always waits. So.
Yeah. Well, Alan and several other people, Paul Jung, who comments on your show. We had cigars and Ruth Chris happy hour last night.
Oh.
It was a nice time.
Just what you need to do, feed Alan.
Yeah, really. But, he brought a good wine. The guy's got a wine collection that beats the band.
Yeah.
But we went to the cigar bar, and there was a lot of cigar smoke, and I had my cloth mask in my pocket. Mm-hmm. This morning I forgot to take a mask, and I grabbed that cloth mask from yesterday. When I put it on, I had to put it on to go into the bank this morning.
Yeah.
It stunk from cigar, and I don't remember wearing it in the cigar place, but the cigar smell was coming through the mask, and it was very unpleasant the whole day that I had to wear it.
Oh, boy.
Time a customer comes in, I put the mask on. And
yeah. But anyway, so, I think Biden could have handled it better, but, sometimes it's kind of like every president has kicked this can down the road.
Absolutely.
And it wound up at his footsteps,
But now
at his feet.
In Congress, there's a lot of Democrats that are not happy with what Biden had done. Now, let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Is the reason they're not happy because they like the war machine and so many people are profiting and making money from supplying goods and services for war reasons. Now, I'm a hawk for most things, but I don't want American military lives to be spent.
Okay, let me throw something out at you. Okay, this will drive you nuts, I'm sure. Maybe it won't. Maybe you'll agree with me. I keep hearing these things of guys who are over there getting on, on TV, yelling and screaming because they were over there. Well, now this all will have gone for nothing,
No.
What do we tell the parents if their kids died in vain? Yes, you tell them their kids died in vain, and that's the horror. Wait a minute, that's the horror of war. That people die in vain, because in the end, nothing is really solved by any war almost.
Not everybody wins every time. And what these kids died for, the lives that they gave, the maiming of soldiers, the loss of limbs, they died for a reason, and they gave the
What was that reason, Phil?
I'll tell you the reason. They gave the Afghan people an opportunity.
Wait a minute. What do we owe the Afghan people?
It's not. We didn't do it for the Afghan people. We did it so that we could make
What
sure.
happened was, you forget
that
why did we go into Afghanistan in the first place?
we wanted to make sure Al Qaeda could not gain a foothold. And at the
no, that's not the reason we went in there.
We didn't take the minerals that were there. The Chinese are grabbing all the what do they call those things? Rare earth minerals.
Yeah.
We didn't go in and rape the country. What we did was we wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be.
You don't seem to remember a guy named Osama bin Laden?
We killed him.
And we didn't kill him there. He got out of there.
He was in Pakistan.
And the only reason we went into Afghanistan was because they were harboring Osama bin Laden and wouldn't give him up.
I know that we got him in Pakistan, but the idea was more so than just Osama bin Laden. We didn't want Afghanistan to be a training ground for more terrorists.
But it was bullshit. It was bullshit. But the fact is that when I say to you that these men died in vain, I can't think of anything was accomplished by their deaths. Nothing.
Nothing's accomplished when you cut and run.
Hold on a second.
Winston Churchill said the only way to fail is to give up.
I think the way in which I prevented from getting beaten up in high school. You know what I did to prevent myself from getting beaten up in high school? I ran as fast as I possibly could. Okay? And when you see a fight you can't win, you get the hell out of Dodge. We learned nothing from Vietnam. Absolutely zilch from Vietnam.
Like watching the Vietnam pullout all over again. In 75, when they helicopters, were ferrying people back and forth, and they had to push them off the decks of ships because they couldn't fit any more helicopters on. It was a travesty. They were coming over the wall, for the in was it Hanoi? Where was the American embassy?
The American embassy was in Hanoi. Not in Hanoi, no. It was in Saigon.
Saigon.
Okay,
in Saigon.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Vietnam. I was the last lottery draft, June 24th, 1972. I was 18. Mm-hmm. And that week, Nixon said, there's no more lottery. It's an all-volunteer army. Mm-hmm. And we don't need anybody. We're drawn down. So what happened was they still printed that lottery that week. Mm-hmm. I was number 64. Mm-hmm. And since I was the part of the class that made the top half possible, the bottom half, 64 was going to go. So I was very thankful to Richard Nixon for ending the draft that week.
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying is that I mean, every time we have a war like this, they go, "What do we tell the parents who kids died?" They didn't die in vain. Yes, they died in vain. I'm sorry. You tell more parents that, maybe they'll make sure that no other child dies in vain as a result.
How many attacks have been on U.S. soil by Al Qaeda?
And how many were before that?
At least one or two that we know of.
No.
Blind Sheik in 1990.
That was not a deal from another country. That was some guy living out in New Jersey.
The Blind Sheik, he was.
The Blind Sheik lived out in New Jersey, Phil.
A short run to park your van full of explosives.
Well, I'm saying that the Blind Sheik lived in New Jersey and was not being directed from out of the country. These guys who came in and hit the World Trade Center came into the United States. They came here with an express purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And putting a van full
We never
of,
had anything like that before, and we haven't had anything like that since.
Well, that's because.
Well, it's also because we closed our sphincters so hard that nothing can get in here.
That's one of the benefits of what happened for the lives that were given in Afghanistan.
That's a benefit. The negative is that we wasted human life and treasure in a place like Afghanistan that was never going to change. We could stay there forever, and the day we leave, they just take over the country.
The reason we were there was for people to make money. That's why most of the swamp that Trump talked about is upset right now that we're pulling out.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, that swamp started working for the administration.
Yeah, and the last administration, and the administration before that, and the administration before that. So these guys are starting to show their colors, and Pelosi would always support whoever's in power because she's petrified. But
hey, listen, you want to stick around? Can you stick around?
No, I've got some stuff to do.
Oh, okay.
Do you have a few people?
Not really. If I don't get more than these, I'm going to just get rid of them and go to sleep early.
I don't know what benefit I can be, but
yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to. I will.
All right.
I will go to them and see what I can get out of them, and if I get nothing, I'll just cut it.
Hard to not dominate.
What? You're going to stick around? Did you say?
And I'll try real hard not to, screw up the conversation.
Well, you can't dominate because your phone, your Zoom is like breaking up.
Hey, one of these days I'll hook up that thing. I just sent it in to be fixed. Remember, it burned up.
What you can do? I don't know. I would have to go to. Let me just put my face on here, okay? Let me go to this thing. I may tell you what you can do to prevent that from happening. Okay, let me go to audio here. I'm going to audio, and it says automatically adjust microphone volume. Turn that off.
All right. Preferences. And this have audio there? Suppressed background noise.
Why do they have suppressed background noise? I don't see that here. Suppressed background noise.
Is this automatically join?
No, automatically adjust microphone volume right under the input volume. See that?
Output.
Input.
Automatically adjust. It's not checked.
It's not checked. All right, say automatically adjust microphone volume. Maybe that will change it. So.
I just checked it.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep it that way for the time being and see what happens. Okay.
I'm trying to talk over you right now just to see if it'll work.
Yeah. Now it's working. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. See?
So that has to be checked.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
All this time, I thought I was doing a righteous thing by not, hooking up the other one.
Yeah, it is cutting down a little bit, but it's not as bad as it was. Anyway, let me go back to you, and then let me add some people. Add these people in here. Here's your friend who you put a few pounds on, Alan. There's
Brian probably hiding.
Oh, Brian is there. Yeah, Brian Neary. It kind of looks like a dental office, doesn't it? With the way that chair is positioned, it just doesn't look like. Here we go. Here comes Brian. There we are. Hello,
Hey,
Brian.
Phil, how was your dinner? Where was my invite? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, why wasn't I invited?
Yeah.
Well, next time.
You got a late invite. We asked where you were at, Brian.
Really?
Paul, I sent you a thing and you saw it on Facebook.
I had a
Messenger.
gift for Paul. I had some Mercedes stuff I didn't let go. So.
Okay. Yeah. Paul wondered why you weren't there with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know Phil.
Yeah. How y'all? Yeah. How y'all doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Great.
This is all.
Hey, yesterday was a nice day. Phil's right. We drank some 30-year-old Cabernet. We had good steak.
Hey.
And then we went and had good
By
cigars.
the way, how much is a steak now at Ruth's Chris?
$10 because we went to the happy hour and it's a steak sandwich, but you don't eat
Oh,
much.
I see. Okay, because I don't know if you've seen the price of meat lately.
I just got one thing to ask Alan. I know you brought a 30-year-old bottle of wine. Can't you afford something newer?
No, that's what you came there with the $10 bottle for.
Well, anyway, what I was going to say is, I went to Costco this week, and I looked at the price of steaks. And I used to go in there, I would get flank steaks, and they were the cheapest. I could get, at the most, two of them, okay, in a package, and it'd be about $27. Here, it was $30. $50.
You're eating the wrong meat.
No,
When I go to Costco, I buy Prime.
Well, yeah. I'm going to pay Prime $83.
Yeah, 55, something like that.
And their Prime isn't that good.
I think so.
No, it's not. Their
It's not.
time is choice.
Phil doesn't know food.
No, I've eaten enough of it.
Yeah. He's an expert.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Ruth Chris. All their meat is Prime.
Well, yeah, but what is Prime? I bet the Prime you get at Ruth Chris. Okay, you would think if you got Prime at Ruth's Chris.
Thank you.
That's the way it's pronounced.
Yes.
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Named after Ruth.
Yeah. That if you got a Prime there, it would be the same quality as the Prime you would get at Costco, and it's not.
There's a difference in the way they cook it at Ruth's Chris. They put it in at 500 degrees and they sear it, and then they put all that butter on it, and it comes out sizzling in the butter. It's pretty damn good.
Phil, you should tell the truth about your mask. You left the mask in your car, but when you got home, you took a dump, and when you put the mask on today, it smelled like that dump.
No, the
cars.
mask was in the pocket
Really?
of the that I wore, and then I pulled them out and put it in another pair. And when I went to put them on, the mask smelled like cigar. Yeah.
I was a good boy. I only ate 3 of the French fries, so I had a fairly low carb dinner.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's a spit in the fucking ocean.
Well, it is what it is.
You're muted.
Well, who's muted? No,
So Alan,
nobody's
Charlie.
muted. What? Nobody's
Yeah,
muted.
what, Phil? You're all over. You're like, but, that's what you sound like.
you're not muted. I pulled out the plug by mistake.
I pulled out the butt plug by mistake.
It's right. It was
By the way,
vibrating on high.
Did anybody watch John Oliver this week? He talked about that it was a thing about the internet and about ransomware and people fucking up your communications and so on, and that they actually have a butt plug that's hooked up to Wi-Fi so that people on the internet can vibrate your ass. Okay? And what happens if one of these companies comes along and does a ransomware deal on your butt plug while it's in there?
Well, you know,
Does it just vibrate or does it blow up too?
It vibrates. It vibrates.
our company hired a IT company to work with cybersecurity, and we had a big presentation when I was in Denver, and like 3 people signed up out of 1,000. And so today I was on a Zoom meeting, and they said, it was, people didn't seem to get it, that cybersecurity can even take down a small business like mine. But I don't think people are as aware and think that it's as important. Now, I've been dealing with a couple of manufacturers that got taken and through ransomware, and they paid the money, but it just totally screwed up their business. It took weeks.
I think the reason why only 3 people showed up is the My Pillow guy was telling about it.
Yeah. No, here's the deal. Here's the deal with that sort of thing. You should be able to get all your stuff back immediately if the ransomware people are honest about it and give you the code to undo the.
That's like believing the Taliban.
No.
Or believing Trump.
Supposedly, oddly enough, these ransomware thieves are honorable that way. You give them the money, they give you the key to unlock it. That's what you're paying for.
But now they have a copy of all your data, and who knows when they're going to attack you again.
No, they don't go in and get data. Ransomware is not getting data.
They lock it down.
Ransomware is locking data so that you can't unlock it. So that all your data for your company is encoded so that you can't get to it unless you pay the money, and then they give you the key to unlock it, and all your stuff comes back.
The new word for encode is encrypt.
Yeah. In my company, my small company, what I do is everything I do is on the cloud. So I'm dealing with companies.
Everything I do is in a cloud.
Well, these companies have my data, and I basically have dumb terminals that I'm able to access my data, and I'm just hoping that these companies are protected.
Well, I would vastly prefer, to have all my stuff on my computers here rather than on a cloud. What I have is I created my own cloud in that I have a RAID, and I use the RAID to put everything on. I back up all the shows here, and also because it has because I can lose one drive and it will simply restore it back to the way it was. I'm safe all the way around,
I do that with my photos. I have a local at home. I have a Drobo, so I could lose 2 drives and still rebuild.
Well, I could set it up so I could lose 2 drives, but I don't want to do that because I'd like the space.
With your RAID, Alex, can you pull the bad drive out?
Yeah.
And hot swap a brand
absolutely.
new one?
And all the rest of them are still working like it was still. I still had all my drives. Yeah. While it's rebuilding, while they're rebuilding that drive. Yeah. The only thing is, it's a QNAP, and QNAP got hit with ransomware.
Really?
So these all over the country, people were getting ransomware notices on their QNAP machines. Luckily, I think I had myself set up so that it wasn't as easy for them to get into my machine. There's a way. I mean, little things switches you can flip on and off that will make it impossible for them to get in.
Yeah, the Drobo has got a dashboard, but all their software is proprietary to Drobo.
But that's fine. But all they have to do is get in there in order to just throw in their little program and screw up your entire Drobo until you pay the money. And by the way, for QNAP, since all these people they figure are basically home users like you and I, they weren't charging, $3 million. They were charging $550 because they knew if they could get $550 from 5,000 people, they were going to be really wealthy. all right, and that you would probably pay the $500 rather than have to deal with unencrypting the whole thing. To QNAP's favor, what they did is they actually put something online so that you could get rid of the ransomware thing and restore
what's
your
that?
machine.
Go to it used to be called like Pirate Bay or something.
Yeah.
What those things?
Pirate Bay. It's a torrent site. One I would never trust to use. Okay.
Yeah. Well, torrent sites are notorious for having embedded.
Not if you go to the right torrent sites and you pay to use those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
You guys were talking about the war in Vietnam. What do we have, a Republican or a Democrat president that got us into Vietnam?
JFK was sent over the first troops into Vietnam.
Right.
Hauer sent like 50 observers or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, no, they were called observers. I think it was 350 of them, something like that.
Who jacked up the number? Was it JFK or
No.
It got jumped up a little bit by Johnson.
A lot by Johnson.
A lot.
Was it a lot by Johnson? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know.
Bombing. He started all that those B-52s, bombing and
Well, I'm trying to remember when the Gulf of Tonkin took place because I was being mustered out of the Navy.
That was the
so
excuse.
that would have to be 65, I think, when I was getting mustered out of the Navy. So in 65.
Lyndon Johnson was president in 65.
Okay, so that's when Gulf of Tonkin took place, which was a phony operation. It never happened. And the reason I know it never happened, I talked to guys that were on the Sea Turner Joy and the USS Maddox, which were the two boats that were involved, and the guys were being mustered out the same time I was, and I said to one of my friends, I said, boy, you guys really must, because he had these ribbons, he got for the thing. And I said, you guys really must have been scary and everything out there. He says, scary? Nothing happened out there. He said, we went to general quarters, and we sat there for a couple hours, and then we came out of it, and a couple of times the ship's guns went off, and that was it. We were never fired upon. And what it was an excuse to get further into that war. It never, the Gulf of Tonkin incident never happened. And that came out after the war was over. And I remember it because I kept telling this story on the air, and I finally got to New York, and I was working at ABC, and I get a call from the news department at ABC who says, you can't say the Gulf of Tonkin never existed. And I told them how I knew. And they said, well, don't say that again. So I didn't say it again. And then a couple of months later, it came out that the Gulf of Tonkin incident never happened. And they called me up going, how'd you know?
Yeah.
I said, well, as opposed to your news department, I listen to people, And I also, then I did another thing in which what was it that I brought up? And they said, again, it was another case of, you can't say that. Oh, yeah, I said that Richard Nixon had made a deal with the Russians when he was in Russia. He had taken a trip to the Soviet Union, right, to get Pepsi-Cola into the Soviet Union. And they said, you can't say that. He didn't make any kind of deal with anybody. That's not right. Stop saying that. And a couple of weeks later, it came out that he had. Yet another call from ABC News. How did you know that? I said, just start listening to people. Start asking the right questions, Don't blame me because I have the right information on this kind of stuff,
Well, the only people here would be Jeff, you, and I that would.
I knew you were going to say that.
That would remember, the last days of Vietnam in '75, because all these guys were too young.
I remember watching videos of them pushing helicopters off the decks.
Right, but that was that
10.
later or?
How
I
about
was
you,
75. I was
Brian?
15.
When were you born?
67, end of 67.
In the 67. So
Oh, I got wine in your birth year.
yeah.
During Vietnam, I worked on Boeing,
Yeah.
building atomic bombs and
Oh.
missiles.
Did you
Ah.
Kill the world.
you built atomic bombs?
Yeah, on airplanes.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
Who-
Just two
guy from the-
big ones.
Yeah, no, that's all it takes.
No, not those
And then
two.
6 missiles in the back, or 7 missiles.
Wasn't it Edward Teller that did the Manhattan Project?
He was involved in it.
By the way, I'll bet you money they were never used.
You're
Jeff.
thinking of Oppenheimer, who was in charge.
But Teller had something called the EG&G, and we used to practice SWAT things in San Ramon. Is where Teller had his offices, and they were abandoned, and they were going to be knocked down. And we used to do SWAT
That was
exercises.
before he joined Penn and Teller, right?
Yeah.
Look at that one.
Yeah, it was called G building, and we used to throw smoke bombs and kick down doors, do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it was so. I mean, we've had these wars constantly. That see, here's what happened. World War II, we went to war against the Nazis, and I guess it was a war we were right to do. And we went to war against the Japanese, who attacked Pearl Harbor. But then again, we knew they were going to attack Pearl Harbor, and we let them do it. Okay. But nevertheless, we came out of that war kind of being the good guys. I mean, we went.
We weren't attacked, so we had resources and we could manufacture stuff.
But also, I mean,
They were all devastated, so they bought products from us, and we're the good guys because we were the breadbasket to help them rebuild.
But we were also the good guys because we felt good about ourselves after that war. We had done a good thing. Okay, we were proud of ourselves. We lost a lot of lives. We gave up about 500,000 American, basically men, at that point, and we a lot of treasure. But we came out of the other side of that, and we could say we can sleep at night now. We can feel good about ourselves. And we felt then that any war we went into, we were right.
Yeah.
And we were never right again.
Again.
Okay. The next one that came along was Korea. We weren't right. The next war after that was Vietnam. We weren't right. And now we have this, and we aren't right. And we never were right.
Do you think that North Korea would have overtaken South Korea if we didn't help them and maintain a presence there?
I'm not going to answer that question because I can't give you a good, clear answer on that. And I don't think either can you. I think that's all prophesized. It's all speculation. I think that the question is how North Korea fought against us. That's who they were fighting when they ultimately were fighting. It wasn't like they were invading South Korea. There was a lot of fighting going on, and then negotiating. That's how we came up with the 38th parallel. That's how we eventually got out of there, was by coming up with the 38th parallel. But did we solve anything? No. North Korea is pretty much what it was when we left.
Well, what would you say? We've been weakened by the moves of Biden at this point, and I think that Taiwan is in jeopardy with China. I don't see Biden doing anything if China decides to annex Taiwan and just run it over.
Why would we care?
Why would we care? Because they're an ally.
Another war where more Americans die needlessly.
They have issues during Trump though, and Trump didn't do anything.
But Trump didn't have to because he kept China.
I don't think that China, much to what you might think, Phil, wants to be that provocative at this point. I think they really are more interested in becoming a financial and economic power.
But they're not keeping their Hong Kong agreements. And look what they're doing to the people that.
Well, the question is, what was the Hong Kong agreement? The Hong Kong agreement was that in 1999 was it that it got turned back to China?
Right, but there was a certain amount of time that they continue to be autonomous, I guess, and
Has that time passed?
No, I think
it has. I think it has.
Another.
I mean, I think China has made a big PR mistake by going into Hong Kong, and I think they're also making a big financial mistake. Hong Kong is their breadbasket. Okay, they make a lot of money out of Hong Kong.
Right.
And to scare any business away from there is a bad idea. And I think there's a certain hubris that the Chinese have. And I think you have to understand Chinese culture too. I think it has a lot to do with Chinese culture. That they considered that what Hong Kong was doing was getting away with not respecting the Chinese government, who were their overlords. Okay. And that they were going to make sure that they were respected. I mean, it's all kind of part of the culture and part of the history and so on. But make no mistake about it, China is an absolute economic juggernaut.
Yeah.
Okay? And will continue to be as the years go on.
They're losing a lot of money and business because there's so many American companies, for instance, that are going to Vietnam. They're going to Malaysia. They're going to a number of different sources for their products. Part of it is because of Trump's tariffs, but it doesn't look like Biden took the tariffs off of China. And so why, if he was eliminating everything else, what is the benefit that Biden sees?
Well, I think there's the problem with tariffs are the tariffs do not. Oh, gee! All of a sudden, your background changed.
Why should I have the wallpaper?
Right. Yeah, as long as he's not calling, and you can't be matching twins.
Yeah.
In fact, nobody else is calling. What is this tonight?
They don't like me.
They don't like me anymore. I mean,
well, there you go. Now we got to the bottom.
Likes nobody.
No, I mean, I only do this every night because I enjoy doing it, But I'm getting a little tired, and it takes a lot out of me. And if I got to do it to only get 4 people calling, then
I think
why
a lot
should
of people listen to the show.
Yeah, well, why should I? I know, no, they aren't. Not like they used to.
No.
So I mean, why should I be doing this? Is the question.
Let out of their houses now.
Huh?
Lockdowns are pretty much over, and they're being, returning to normal, and starting to go back to their jobs and.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Going
Brian.
out to restaurants.
Thank you, Brian, for calling tonight. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Alan, and thank you very much, Phil. I appreciate it. Very nice, but it doesn't make me feel better. That and, I'm still waiting on that goddamn Hall of Fame bullshit.
Now, what's going on? I thought they were supposed to vote on Monday.
They were supposed to release the results on Monday.
Right. That's what I meant.
Well, here it is. It's Tuesday, and they haven't released the results.
Yeah, while you and Phil were talking, I was looking, and the results are not there.
No, and it would be nice if maybe all the people that were nominated, if they just sent us a note saying, "Hey, we're a couple of days late with this" or whatever. They're not even doing that, So
Check your spam mail.
I check my spam mail. Yeah.
Hey, I heard that when Karzai left Afghanistan, that he had so much money shoved into the plane and the cars that he was taking that it was falling out on the ground. So I took a look, and I said, he's where is the money?
$2 bills?
$2 bills. That's why there was so much money, because he didn't take hundreds.
Yeah.
So, I found some Afghani American money on
What
it.
have you had those $2 bills for years now?
I just got those last week.
Why?
Some of them flowed down into Fremont.
I don't think we're allowed to do that, by the way.
Yeah, that's true.
Show money.
Yeah, we can.
How about gambling chips?
Gambling chips you can.
Well, I had this idea that if people bought or didn't buy, I was going to send them a survey, and that people will answer surveys if you pay them. And so my idea was to come up with these surveys for those that bought and those that haven't bought yet, and send them a $2 bill with the survey in it, and ask them, and a self-addressed stamped envelope, and ask them to send it back. Was it price? Was it selection?
Yeah.
Are you talking about Carpet One?
Yes. So I picked these up the other day at the bank, and these are going to be for survey.
What do you think I got? A hole in my head?
Yeah. Looks
The owner of Carpet One's an asshole. Now send me my $2.
Yeah, really.
Fill out the survey. Hey, I got mine, but it's not green.
Yeah, well, this is the stuff that I go. Okay, yeah.
Over there.
Oh, there you go, Alex. That's an improvement. You got to wear it more often.
This is the same color green as the green screen.
Yes, it is. Right here. You can't see it, folks, because if I hold it up, you can't see it because it's green.
This green is so much softer. Why is?
Yours looks blue.
Mine's very green.
Yeah, there.
Mine's the same green color as the green screen back here.
Mine is too, but it's showing up as blue because I guess it's clear.
No, it's showing up as blue because that's your background now, Phil.
Okay, so if I had Tony's background.
Yeah, it would turn out white. Yeah, it would, whatever the background is. Don't you know how the green screen works, Phil?
I don't need to know how to make the salami. I just.
And you wonder why nobody watches the show anymore.
You're eating.
He's always eating.
Yeah.
The only time I have free time to eat.
Well,
Be envious. He's
You do
losing
a
weight.
lot of fruit there, don't you, Brian?
Yeah, tonight I had some zucchini and then I had some fruit. Yep.
Yeah.
Funny
Alex,
digestion.
remember I told you I was going to be in Cape Cod this week?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful there, isn't it? Right now.
I didn't make it.
What? Why?
Well, we made a decision that everybody who's going to go is going to check and stick those little things in your nose
Yeah.
and
COVID
determine
test.
whether or not we have COVID or not.
Yeah.
Well, one of them
Had it.
found out that he has COVID,
Wow.
and that guy was me.
no.
Really?
But I had no indication of it.
You're asymptomatic.
I didn't have shit.
That's
But I had to take
asymptomatic.
I had to take the picture, take the test again, and the second time I passed.
It was a
So
false.
then they said,
was a-
"Well, you better taste it again." So
Taste
I did it again, and I passed again.
So it was a
I
false
had-
positive.
Yeah.
So you should have taken the Cepheid test, right?
3 times, please. 3 times.
Yeah, really.
3 times
You
you're
got the
out.
wrong test.
Yeah, usually the Abbott, the really quick test, those are like 40 to 50% accurate. So
No,
the
no.
Abbott
It was
test.
not the quick
There are
test.
2 Abbott tests. There's the chemical company Abbott, and then there's the Governor Abbott. And you don't want to take the Governor Abbott test. Turns out Governor
Oh,
Abbott
the
at-
poor thing has
Texas.
COVID.
Yes. He tested
Oh.
positive for COVID, and then he went to a party.
And he's been vaccinated after all the drama that
Yeah, he tells people, we won't mandate vaccines, and we won't mandate masks, and then he goes out and gets vaccinated. What's that all about?
He's following the last president that said the same thing.
And got vaccinated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he got vaccinated on his way out of the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah. President that sped up all the vaccinations with warp speed.
Oh
and-
Yeah, sure,
If
sure.
if he were still
Propaganda.
president, we'd still be waiting for those shots in our arms. Okay.
Hey, they got that warp speed, but if it wasn't for Trump, we still wouldn't have had a vaccine because Biden would have said, "Oh, gee, it's not FDA approved yet."
No, the companies don't care about what the president says. They're out to make money.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
To begin with, Pfizer had nothing to do with warp speed. Nothing to do with warp
They
speed.
didn't take the money.
Neither
didn't take
did
the-
Johnson and Johnson.
Trump said he would buy the things whether they worked or not. Just make them and we'll sort it out afterwards. And you got your customer. And they worked.
Well, Moderna didn't have a product before this, so they needed the money.
Do you?
Yeah. And Trump also said to drink detergent or something like that too.
Yeah.
Clorox. Only Clorox brand will
Shove
work.
a
Wait a
fluorescent tube up your ass.
Wait a minute.
Shoot it in your arm.
Phil's equipment is a little impaired here, and when he tries to talk and you're all talking at once, we can't hear him, which is normally a blessing.
Yeah.
But he had something he was
What?
frustrated that we said. What?
Well, I forget that stuff. I was going to ask who's getting the third shot. Yeah.
I'll get it when the FDA says it should be happening,
Yeah.
not when the president. This
They did-
president is doing the same thing Trump did.
Well, the FDA is about to do that.
Okay, well, when they do, then I'll
They-
get the third
at
shot.
the very latest, a couple of maybe a week into September.
It's a guess.
That went to Walgreens the other day. He had been fully vaccinated prior, and he went to Walgreens and he didn't tell them that he was vaccinated, and they gave him another shot. He's still walking and talking, but I'm wondering whether there's going to be a difference between the shot that they're giving out now for the two.
Well, they
times.
say there's got to be an 8-month separation between your second shot and the next shot.
And how
That-
many
that's
people
gonna
on
be-
the show have got the second shot? I got it 6 months ago.
Yeah, I got it. I got it about 6-7 months ago.
Not 7. I got mine before you got yours.
8 months will be September 29th for me, I believe.
Well,
I agree.
I'm doing a photo shoot with John Peroulis, a guy that used to do the show, and it's going to be at Kezar Stadium. And so today he wrote me and he says, to get in, you got to be vaccinated. And I said, well, I'm vaccinated. And I sent him a picture of my vaccine thing. I got vaccinated the second shot, I think it was February 11th. So I was really early on.
Yeah. So it'll be 8 months in that you can get it. So
Right.
I.
So it's only 6 months.
Was your
right
second
now,
your
Phil.
second shot February whatever?
Yeah, I'm looking.
I got
looking
my
at
second shot February the 8th. So it's only been 6 months.
that's it, huh?
That's it. Sorry. Thank God they make calculators for people like you.
Yeah, so I took a picture of the card.
You need to turn it blue.
Yeah. Well, the second shot February 11th, first shot January 20th.
Yeah. Well, you remember I got the Moderna and then I had to wait 5 weeks. So
Or
Mhm.
need extra time.
so I'm a little bit later on, but
So here's the science. Since I know a little bit about this, people that are going out and getting the vaccine. Phil brought up a good point. Will they change the vaccine when it's FDA approved to just change it? It won't be the same. That's one we don't know. So a lot of people are rushing out right now and getting it. The timing of this extra booster is a big deal, apparently, according to the FDA already. And so if you get it early, it may not do you any good.
My friend who-
Brian,
Yeah?
how's this going to affect your business?
We're doing just fine.
Oh, they'll do great.
Yeah.
We're yeah.
Now wait a
we're-
minute. That little device of yours. And I don't have it here. I have it back there. Okay.
Yeah.
That is that the just for the regular test? I mean, the regular COVID test, or does that do more?
No, it just depends on which one it is. But now, like I said, we had the flu, so there's 3 respiratory diseases we were doing, and then when COVID came out, we did COVID, and now we have one that we call FluVid, which is a combination of the 3 flus and the COVID. So it takes care of 4 respiratory diseases, and now we're coming out with Plus, which is going to help with the Delta variant.
Oh, good.
And the FluVid, you spit in it and put a little bit of poo in it and send it back to you. I'm kidding.
How about floods and locusts? You got anything for that?
Yeah, we did. We did stuff for Katrina. Yeah, we sent a bunch of our equipment there for a test.
That was a joke because he was talking about plagues.
Right.
I know.
You played that off well, Brian.
Classic Phil. That's classic Phil.
No, but that
You
was
played
actually
that
good.
off
That was
well,
a good
Brian.
Phil joke. I mean, it constructed very well. Does that include floods and locusts?
That's
Now,
right.
you see, the reason why it made it a biblical joke was because he put in the locusts. So that was very good, Phil. Very good.
Yeah, good, Phil. But that was a good answer, Brian. You did
I
it
tried to be
with serious
straight
face.
yeah, I just want to try to get Phil off.
But anyway, so we got this
It works.
jerk Abbott down in Texas, who gets it, and was at a party last night,
They've
spreading
already-
because you can be a spreader and
Yes.
still have it. You know,
They've already given him monoclonal antibodies, which, you and I can't get if we get sick, probably.
Abbott was dancing.
Yes, he was dancing.
He was dancing.
Boy, that flu has some positive values, doesn't it?
Yeah, really. All of a sudden, the legs are working.
Jeff,
That's
that,
not nice.
based on that, will you be able to sing?
Yeah. Me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very
No,
nice.
Jeff, you said you're totally asymptomatic. You don't have any of the loss of
Absolutely.
and the other.
You took 3, right? You took 3 tests, and 2 were negative,
Yes.
and 1 was positive.
Yeah. And actually, before the 3, I had taken one, I think about 3 weeks before, and I passed on that one also.
Yeah.
Why didn't everybody just leave you at home and go have a good time?
Well, because we're
They probably paid for it. That's why.
I got it.
well, I was going all with a bunch of kids, my kids and their grandkids. And
Oh yeah.
These are people in their 50s and 60s. I get it, kids.
Yeah,
Do you
those
know-
youngsters.
Do you know what test you took, or what kind of test you took at the beginning? You said it wasn't a rapid test, so they told you.
I never took the
PCR?
rapid test. Yeah, I don't know the name of the.
Oh, it was a-
PCR, where they shove the thing way back in your sinuses
Yeah,
Oh,
and then tell you a couple days later, yeah,
yeah.
those are the most accurate.
I don't know. I
understand.
had one of those.
That's
I had one of those because they paid me $50 to do it. I
Yeah.
was walking down the street, minding my own business. Well, Marjorie actually told me to walk up there, and they said, "Hey, you want to get a COVID test?" And I said, "Why?" They said, "We'll give you $50." So I go, "Okay, $50. Who do I blow to get the $50?
$50 is $50.
$50 is $50. So I took the test, and I thought they were going to shove that thing all the way up my nose, and they didn't. They just kind of went up a little bit and swabbed around and went. I think they did both of them. Went
Hey,
to
Alan,
the other one.
have one long enough for your nose.
Oh, math.
Oh, it didn't get all the way. I see. That's a joke, folks. It's classic Phil, Brian.
Classic Phil.
Yeah.
Classic Phil.
Classic Phil. Okay. Phil's on his best behavior tonight too. He's
Well,
doing-
that's because Robert Natalie's not here.
Oh, yeah. Who?
yeah.
Bob SquarePants.
Yeah. But anyway, I just think that I'm ready to get that next one. I just want to make sure I'm safe. That's all.
Right. Absolutely.
Because I don't feel I'm as safe right now as I was, and I think that there's always the chance that you can get the breakthrough virus, which a lot of people get,
Except for the 3rd vaccine is not going to stop the breakthroughs.
I have a friend in L.A. She was vaccinated, she got the virus, the breakthrough virus, and she said that she lost her sense of taste and smell, and that because she had the variant, I guess.
Jeff got the breakthrough.
Well, Jeff,
he's vaccinated, and he's got the virus, and that's what breakthrough is.
Well, he doesn't have the virus,
But
though.
I don't have the virus.
Oh, okay.
You haven't been following the
negative.
discussion.
Sorry.
He took 2 more tests and came out negative.
Right.
Alan
Sorry.
doesn't watch the show. He doesn't watch the show.
He doesn't
That's
pay
right.
attention to it.
Hey, Phil, the 13th, it went and passed. Did you guys talk about that in the first half hour? I didn't hear.
What? Oh, you mean Trump was going to become president again?
Yeah. How'd that go?
it's fine. He's president as far as I'm concerned.
He's there.
Yeah.
Well, they made a mistake in the date. The day and the month is correct. It's 3021, not 2021.
Is that why Biden hid in at Camp David during the issues that were going on in Afghanistan?
No, I think look, to begin with, going to Camp David is not leaving the White House.
It's not like he went to play
What
golf.
what is that?
They had the guy with the Make America Great Again, and he keeps crossing off dates. The tattoo guy keeps crossing off dates.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, I
So-
see.
Make
Yeah.
America great again.
But
we did. We voted Trump out of.
no, but here's the thing. What?
They printed more ballots that just had one vote on it. Biden only had no down ballot votes. They sent 6-7 million of them in, and
Well, how about that Mike Lindell and his data convention?
Oh God, what a mess!
No, wait a minute. He said that he was going to stay there for 3 straight days without sleep and never leave the stage until they were finished with the whole conference. And then he found out that he was being sued by Dominion. He got up and left.
But he was singing, "Look at us, we're walking. Look at us, we're 3 days on the stage." Jerry.
That was Dennis James. That wasn't Jerry Lewis.
So Phil, do you use
That was cerebral palsy, not muscular dystrophy. Boy,
Right.
don't you know anything about your diseases that afflict children?
he got them all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but the walking and talking, that was Jerry Lewis.
No, it wasn't. That was I'll tell you why I know it was Dennis James, because I hated him for doing that. Because he would have these kids come out with their braces on their legs, and they would start singing, "Look at us, we're walking, look at us, we're talking," and they would start dancing with their braces on and falling on their faces.
Yeah.
And I thought it was horrible the way they were using these kids. Jerry Lewis never used kids that way. He never embarrassed them or put them in a situation where they were looked upon as objects to be pitied. And that's
Matt
what
Gates used kids, though.
What?
Matt Gates
Use kids. Yeah, that's really using kids. But
A 17-year-old when you were 18,
huh?
the what is going on with Bob Dylan right now?
Oh yeah. No, it happened in 1965.
Right.
I mean,
they
come on.
just figured it out.
I think it's the woman who he had sex with when she was underage is now 67. All right.
Yeah.
Are we really going to Me Too him? Are we
No.
really going to do that?
Statute of limitations are well gone.
It looks like it.
I mean, anybody that's 67, their mind is gone. What do they expect?
That song "Rainy Day Women 12 and 35" or something like that that Dylan wrote. Was that a Dylan song?
Yeah. Rainy
Well-
Day Women 12 and 37 or something.
Yeah.
It
Well-
was number 12 and 30, number 20, whatever.
Had the 12-year-old.
No, it wasn't 12. It was number 12.
That was Matt Gates you're confusing it with.
No, but I just, look, okay, so it was a terrible thing that he went out with somebody, and it was, he saw her for a while. Okay? So, we got to question it. But back then, nobody was going to come and give him a bad thing, a bad time for it or anything like that. You know, here it is. How many years later? 65. How many years is that? God,
Phil, do the math.
that's about 50 years, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Just like a woman was another one of his lyrics. You know, so she was so young, but she was just like a woman. You know.
Anyway, the fact of the matter. Let's not make pederasty jokes here. Come on, you know.
So it was just like a German Shepherd.
Yes. Okay. Fine. But anyway, you know, I mean, come on. How many years ago was that? I mean,
56.
56.
and the girl just decided to go to the cops about it, and she's 67.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, all women matter.
And supposedly, at some point between then and now, we passed some laws making it so that kind of action didn't have a what do you call it? A statute of limitations. So they, I suppose, could get Bob Dylan on it, but come on, you know, we're a little past the expiration date on that one. You know?
Well, there's a cell available that what's his
I mean,
name?
I'm saying that once she hit menopause, all bets were off. Okay. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who was Crosby? Out. Dylan's in. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, in fact, with Cosby, the only one they could get him on was the one woman that fit within the statute of limitations. So I think on underage girls, that there are no statute of limitations on that anymore.
But can they
Yeah,
retro?
but when the crime happened, the statute of limitations were there, and that's what applies.
That's what I'm saying. You know,
Yeah.
you can't retroactively
I
go back.
guess.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
No retroactive.
But you know,
Bill, you're safe.
well, that made me completely disrespect Bob Dylan. I'm never listening or buying another one of his records ever again.
Right. You probably own every one already.
Yeah, right. No, I got them for free.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't say buy
I
it.
forgot. I used to be a disc jockey. I got them all for free.
Shit, yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Label, not for resale.
Yeah, not for resale. The white label on Columbia. Yeah, it was a white kind of a white label as opposed to a red label.
Go to Billboard with a hand truck, and they would give me all of these 45s, and I'd get back on the subway with like 4 boxes of 45s. From Billboard magazine, my friend Barry and I, we ended up with 40 or 50 copies of Carmen Leggio's 45. You know, I mean, you never got.
When you threw out all the ones you didn't need, there was one left. Yeah.
I thought Winchester made 45s.
Well, it's like the time that I had kids come to my door on trick or treating, and I had all these albums sitting by the door that I was going to throw out, and so instead I gave them like each 4 LPs. They went, "Oh, records, great!" And they left. And about 10 minutes later, they come back up, and there's a knock on the door. You got anything better? You got any candy?
Really?
You know, yeah. So, but anyway, there's the theme. Oh God, I got another one out of the way. Only 3 more till the weekend. And who knows? Maybe tomorrow I will. Sally Jesse Raphael will be the inductee into the Hall
Or
of
maybe
Fame.
Alex Bennett. Nobody knows him, though.
Yeah, I doubt it. You know,
I think it's an honor that you got mentioned.
no.
No?
Winning is the only thing that matters.
Okay.
I'm not going to be so trite as to say being nominated is just fine. No, it's not. Winning. Ask anybody who was ever up for an Oscar. Winning.
Well, you sound like Charlie Sheen.
That's right.
See that?
Yeah. Even a stop clock is right twice a day. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a good friend, Phil Meyer.
Dan Meyer.
Dan Meyer. Jeff Stein, thank you so much. Thank you. I always appreciate you calling, Brian. You look a little tired tonight.
Yeah, I was working.
Yeah.
So working Lake China stuff. So
Yeah, I always look sleepy, so don't feel bad about it.
The rest of us are
And
retired.
Alan, thank you as well, Alan. Everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel. And there'll be another one starting next on the intersection with Jack Bishop. We'll be back again here tomorrow night. There's going to be a sports show on at let's see here at 8:30, and then we'll be here at 10:30. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, if you haven't done it, get vaccinated. Okay, do us a favor. Do yourself a favor. Bye.